दिमनन्तरूपम् अद्यं पुरणपुरुषं नय यौवनं च वेदेषु दुर्लभम् अदुर्लभम् आत्मभक्तौ गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord who is inaccessible to the Vedas but obtainable by pure unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha. Yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth. पंथास्तु कोटिशतवत्सरः सम्प्रागम्यो ययो अथापि मनसो मुनिपुङ्गवयं सोऽपि स्ति यत् प्रपदसिं हि अविचिन्त्य तत्त्वे गोविन्दम् आदिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayam by drilling the respiration, or by the Gyanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane, extending over thousands of millions of years. I'll continue the rest of the prayers tomorrow.
Thank you. Anything else I would like to say? Okay, then we will read Srimad Bhagavatam. Share my screen. This we are on third canto, chapter 27, understanding material nature, and verse number 17. Devahutirvacha purusham prakritim brahman na vimunchati karhichit anyona pashrayatvacha nityatvad annayo prabhu. Shri Devahuti inquired. Who is Devahuti?
Kadarma Muni's wife, Kapil Dev's mother.
And who is Kapil Dev?
Kapil Dev, incarnation of Lord.
So, mother of Kapila Dev, who is the Supreme Lord. So, this conversation is going on between Kapila Dev and Devahuti. And so now Kapila Dev has spoken about, all the different aspects of Sankhya philosophy, and now Devahuti is asking. Shri Devahuti inquired, my dear Brahmana, does material nature ever give release to the spirit soul? So of course he's saying Brahmana, but it's her own son. It doesn't say my dear son, my dear Brahmana, because she's now in the role of a disciple. Does material nature ever give release to the spirit soul? Since one is attracted to the other eternally, how is that separation possible? Okay, so we are spirit souls and we are in this material nature. Material nature means made of material things. Material means matter. So like we are spirit soul and we are in a world which is made of matter. Like our body is matter and the soul is encaged in this body made of matter. So is it possible, she's asking, is it possible for the soul to ever come out of this material nature, because the soul is related to the material nature? Is it possible to be separated, or not related but attracted rather? She's saying that because the soul is very attracted to material nature, is it ever possible to gain release from this bondage? So we are encaged, in this, our freedom is curtailed by this material body. And we are subjected to all the conditions. So there is no real freedom because we are subjected to the conditions of birth, death, old age and disease. As soon as we come in this material world, there is no freedom and we are under the laws of karma, under the influence of Maya. So can the soul actually come out of this situation? Because it is very attracted since time immemorial. We have been in this material nature in different bodies, and we have made this material nature our home. So, is it possible to get liberated and go to our actual home, which is the spiritual world? She's asking like that. Like, sometimes when we are attracted to somebody, then it is very difficult to separate from that person. Like, husband is attracted to wife, wife is attracted to husband, the mother is attracted to child, and so many other things in this world. So, is it ever possible to get out of this attraction? That's what basically, I mean, we are attracted to material nature and so many things in this material nature. So, is it ever possible to get released from this? Devahuti, the mother of Kapiladev, here makes her first inquiry. Although one may understand that spirit, soul, and matter are different, their actual separation is not possible, either by philosophical speculation or by proper understanding. The spirit soul is the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord. Means, marginal potency means, what is it called?
Tatast.
Tat means?
क्या बोलते हैं उसका, like it's not like
That means boundary or
like
like the
boundary,
shore.
yeah.
between
Shore.
I mean just yeah, sure. That's
Sure.
kinara बोलते हैं.
Kinara, tat.
Yeah.
Like we have Gora Arti. Kiva Jayo Jayo Gora Chande Arati Kosho Janavi Tata. Janavi is Ganga. On the bank of Ganga, the Arti of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is happening. So, and attracting all the people of all the worlds. So, like that, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has this Arti. So, Tat. So, boundary. So, we are the marginal potency. Marginal means we are on the Tat, but we can't really be on the Tat. I mean, Prabhupada would give the example that sometimes it is beach, sometimes it is ocean. When the water comes and covers the land, then the beach is, it's no longer beach. You can't say it's beach, it's the ocean. And if a lot of water comes, like in a tsunami, then it's ocean. So sometimes it is beach, sometimes it is land, sometimes it is water. So similarly, sometimes we are in Maya, or most of the times we are in Maya, and sometimes we are Krishna conscious. So like that, and every moment is like a choice for us to either go this side or that side. We can't live at the boundary between India and Pakistan, right? They say you have to be on India side or you have to be in Pakistan side or US and Canada. There is maybe a boundary. So you have to be on the US side or you have to be on the Canada side. So either we go this way, that way. So this is a marginal potency. Of course, we have heard all this. So every moment we can decide. We can think of Krishna or we can forget Krishna. We forget Krishna, then it's Maya. Something we have to think. So it's not like our mind can be blank. So either we are Krishna conscious or we are Maya conscious. So that's our choice. And sometimes even we want to become Krishna conscious, it's very difficult. So we have to pray to Krishna. I am helpless. Krishna, I am helpless. I want to be Krishna conscious, but I am so conditioned, so badly conditioned that I'm trying to remember you, but the remembrance is not steady. It comes and goes, and because I have no love for you, Krishna. That's why my remembrance is not steady. So that's why. So Krishna, please help me become your devotee. So I want to become your devotee. I have had enough of this material world and all the harassment in this material world that I am experiencing through my mind and body, through other living entities, and through natural disturbances. I'm tired, Krishna. I want to come to you. So, the spirit soul is the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord, and matter is the external potency of the Lord. Like in the jail also government's law is operating. Outside the jail also government's law is operating. So the two eternal potencies have somehow or other been combined. So, and since it is so difficult to separate one from the other, how is it possible for the individual soul to become liberated? By practical experience, one can see that when the soul is separated from the body has no real existence. And when the body is separated from the soul, one cannot perceive the existence of the soul. As long as the soul and the body are combined, we can understand that there is life. But when they are separated, there is no manifested existence of the body or the soul. Since we can't see the soul, and the body deteriorates when the soul leaves. This question asked by Devhuti of Kapila Dev is more or less impelled by the philosophy of voidism. The voidists say that consciousness is a product of combination of matter. So ultimately, voidist means they are saying everything is zero. Void means it all started with some chemical combination, and some chemical combination produced life, and then at the end it will all disintegrate and again become chemicals. So it's nothing is there ultimately. There is nothing like the soul. Life just came from chemical combination, and then it just it ceases to be, that configuration ceases to be, and then life is not there. And that as soon as the consciousness is gone, the material combination dissolves, and therefore there is ultimately nothing but voidness. But they are saying that there is consciousness is gone, the material combination. Ultimately there is nothing but zero. This absence of consciousness is called nirvana in Mayavad philosophy. Okay, so ultimately it is zero. Even if they think consciousness is there, but the body is gone, the consciousness is gone, there is nothing remaining, it's zero. For us, it's like that only, right? If somebody dies, then it's done. The person is gone, we don't know where he's gone. The consciousness is gone, the body is gone. And that's it. It's all finished. Zero. So, there is some... Okay. Any comments on this? Okay, so next verse. Yatha gandhasya bhumishya nabhavo vyatirekatah apam rasasya cha yatha tatha buddhe parasya cha. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna uses this argument to tell Arjun that if you think that there is no soul and if just the body is just a combination of chemicals, then also you know reason to lament, because in the beginning the body was body was unmanifested. It was just chemicals in its unmanifested state, and after death also the chemicals will remain. So why would you lament? So like that he was saying. But of course we know there is soul and there is, but Krishna was giving just an argument, as there is to convince him to fight from all angles. As there is no separate existence of the earth and its aroma, or of water and its taste, there cannot be any separate existence of intelligence and consciousness. So water has taste, just as earth cannot be separated from the aroma. So intelligence and consciousness cannot be separated. So the example is given here that anything material has an aroma, means fragrance, smell. The flower, the earth, everything has an aroma. If the aroma is separated from the matter cannot be identified. If there is no taste to water, the water has no meaning. If there is no heat in fire, the fire has no meaning. Similarly, when there is want of intelligence, spirit has no meaning. Okay, so
Prabhuji, didn't get that. Like in the last verse, it is saying, in the last line, it's saying there is want of intelligence, spirit has no meaning, and in the translator, it is saying that existence of, there cannot be any separate existence of intelligence and consciousness. So, is it like both refer to the same thing? Intelligence and consciousness are the same thing and not different.
I mean, consciousness is manifested from the soul. The soul is there, then there must be consciousness. But intelligence can vary depending on which body you get. But there is some intelligence in every, like in a plant also. You get plant body. Then also there is intelligence because the plant will move towards the light, right? I mean, if you have a plant in a room and there is sunlight coming in from one window, then the plant will bend towards that. So there is some intelligence. The plant knows this is where I should go. So there is intelligence, but it is covered. Like that we say. So consciousness, wherever there is soul, there is consciousness. And there is some intelligence also based on the body we get, like that. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. But the intelligence can be covered more and more, like in lower species of life, it is covered. Sometimes it is said without intelligence, without that athato brahma jigyasa, we are like animals. So, of course, spirit soul is there, but there is no meaning to life in one sense, right? If you don't have in human form of life, if you don't have athato brahma jigyasa, means who am I? Why am I here? Why am I suffering? What is the purpose of life? Dharmena hina pashubi saman. That's it. So in that sense, there is life has no meaning. Of course, spirit soul is there, but what is the meaning of this life if there is no, if intelligence is not used to understand, the human intelligence not used to understand why I'm suffering and how I can get out of the suffering. So that's in that way I think there is all these things it's mentioned. But we can read more and then see. Okay, so अकर्तु कर्म बंधोयम पुरुषस्य यदाश्रय गुणेषु सत्सु प्रकृते कैवल्यम तेषु अथ कथम. Hence, even though he is the passive performer of all activities, how can there be freedom for the soul as long as material nature acts on him and binds him? The soul is kind of observing, is the passive performer. Yeah, and the Prakriti is acting. Although the living entity desires freedom from the contamination of matter, he is not given release. Just as a prisoner wants to get out of the jail, but he is not allowed to go out. So we want freedom from the contamination of matter, but he is not given release. Why? We'll see if Prabhupada says. Actually, as soon as a living entity puts himself under the control of the modes of material nature, his acts are influenced by the qualities of material nature and he becomes passive. So now you are under the rules and regulations of the prison. So you cannot do whatever you like. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai. The living entity acts according to the qualities or modes of material nature. So we are pushed around by the modes and the tamogun, rajogun. Sometimes we want to get up, but tamogun is acting. We can't chant nicely. Rajogun is there. Mind is going, and so many things are coming to the mind. Ignorance is there. Like we have experienced this, right? I mean, we want to do certain things which we think are good for us, but we can't do it. And we don't want to do certain things which are bad for us, but we are forced to do it. Everybody has that experience. Right? So that is the modes of nature acting on us. So the living entity acts according. So we are not free really in one sense, because this we have conditioned ourselves. Like an alcoholic wants to give up alcohol, but he can't give it up because as soon as he sees a bottle of alcohol, he's irresistibly attracted to it. And while drinking also he may feel, oh, this is not good, I should not be drinking, but he can't stop drinking. So it's like that. Our situation is like that. Sometimes we do, while doing the wrong thing also, we know it's wrong, but we can't stop it because the force of that, the passion is very strong. Athakena prayuktoyam papam charati purusha anichhanapin varshneya baladiva niyojitaha. Arjuna is saying, what is that impels a man to act against his will? As if impelled by force or descendant of Rishni. Kama krodha esha rajoguna samudbhava mahashano mahapapma vidiyenam hivedinam. He says, yes, it is lust only which is born of contact with the mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, which is the all devouring sinful enemy of this world. So, what happens when we chant Hare Krishna? Then our heart becomes clear of these modes of nature, the mode of passion. Tadarajastamo bhava kama lobha dayasya chete eterana vidyam stitam sattve prasidati. When we hear about Krishna, then what happens? Slowly and gradually. It will take time, so we have to be patient also. Because we are conditioned very deeply. So, and we may not be chanting or doing devotional service in the right consciousness properly, but still we try. And then slowly, the effect of the modes of passion and ignorance becomes less and less, and then we rise to the higher modes. We come to the mode of goodness. So, like that. And then we can do what we want to do and not do what we don't want to do. So he all falsely thinks that he's acting, but unfortunately he's passive. In other words, he has no opportunity to get out of the control of material nature because it has already conditioned him. So that is why we have to seek association with those who are not conditioned. We have to be in their association. Those who are trying to become free and those who are like in higher modes. Then we associate with those who are in higher modes, and we also will come to higher modes. If we associate with things in lower modes or people in lower modes, then our consciousness will also go to lower modes. So that's the key. In Bhagavad Gita, it is also stated that it is very difficult to get out of the clutches of material nature. Which verse is that? Very difficult to get out of the clutches of material nature.
Devi hi esha gunamaya maya durat mam ev mam ev
Maya mitam taranti. Devi esha gunamai mama maya durataya. Very difficult, Krishna is saying, to get out of this. Guna means qualities, and guna also means rope. So we are tied with the ropes of these modes of material nature, and they are intertwined. Just like a rope is made strong by intertwining, different strands, and becomes so strong that it can even hold a ship. A big ship is docked at the port by a rope which is intertwined, and it becomes very strong that it can hold the ship from floating away. So like that, this is our, you have this choti that ladies make, they take one strand of hair, then they put another strand, and then put another strand, and then it becomes something like that. So rope is like that. It's very strong, intertwined, all the modes of material nature, and we are chained by these ropes to this material nature. And it's very difficult to break free. That's what Krishna is saying. Oh, my Maya is very strong, and to get out of this Maya is very difficult. But you surrender to me, then you'll be released. He falsely thinks that he's acting, but unfortunately he's passive. In other words, he has no opportunity to get out of the control of material nature because it has already conditioned him. In Bhagavad Gita, it is also stated that it is very difficult to get out of the clutches of material nature. So this Hare Krishna mantra is actually one which frees us, our consciousness. One may try in different ways to think that everything is void in the ultimate issue, that there is no God, and that even if the background of everything is spirit, it is impersonal. God is not person, or everything is zero. There is no God. This speculation may go on, but actually it is very difficult to get out of the clutches of material nature. Devahuti poses the question that although one may speculate in many ways, where is liberation as long as one is under the spell of material nature? The answer is found in Bhagavad Gita 7:14. Only one who has surrendered himself unto the lotus feet of Supreme Lord Krishna, Mam eva ye prapadyante, can be freed from the clutches of Maya. So we have to surrender to Krishna by, doing things that he likes us to do and surrendering to the pure devotees like that. Since Devahuti is gradually coming to the point of surrender, her questions are very intelligent. How can one be liberated? How can one be in a pure state of spiritual existence as long as it's strongly held by the modes of material nature? So our situation is like that. So she's asking a question which is also pertaining to us. This is also an indication to the false meditator. There are many so-called meditators who think I am the supreme spirit soul. Means I am God, basically. Supreme spirit soul means I am God. I am conducting the activities of material nature. Under my direction, the sun is moving and the moon is rising. Like right today, we don't have sun. So we can ask this meditator, can you bring about the sun? It's cloudy day. Can you bring the sun out? If you are the controller. Like Krishna did, right? He covered the sun. When Jayadratha was to be killed, he covered the sun. And then he brought the sun out. First he covered the sun, so everybody thought it's end of the war for that day. And then Jayadratha came out, and then Krishna brought the sun back. So like that. They think that by such contemplation or meditation they can become free, but it is seen that just 3 minutes after finishing such nonsensical meditation, they are immediately captured by the modes of material nature. Immediately after his high-sounding meditation, a meditator becomes thirsty and wants to smoke or drink. He is under the strong grip of material nature, yet he thinks that he is already free from the clutches of Maya. This question of Devahutis is for such person who falsely claims that he is everything, that ultimately everything is void, and that there are no sinful or pious activities. These are all atheistic inventions. Actually, unless a living entity surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as instructed in Bhagavad Gita, there is no liberation or freedom from the clutches of Maya. So Maya won't let go until we surrender. We are at that class, right? So we can get no relief until we surrender. Okay. So
I was thinking, our situation is also like a good something echo.
sorry, your voice.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, our situation is like.
I was saying, yeah, I mean, our situation is like the Gajendra, right? When Gajendra was like initially, he was happy with his wife and children, and he was enjoying. And the same, the conditioned soul is also doing the like in the material world, and the and the crocodile in the form of like death or time. It's clutches, the grip is the clutches of Maya and the form of like time, the serpent of time. It's all considered as, and I think the same the Maya won't let go, or maybe in the Gajendra Lila Radhanath Swami was mentioning that the crocodile has different types of teeth, and some teeth gives the pleasure and some pain, but the clutches won't go right. And when they like even nobody can save him right when the Gajendra was under the grip of crocodile, and all the initially like their husband wives and children try to help him, but eventually they all gone right. They just leave it, and he was alone fighting with that. And who helped him? When he called the Lord, when he understand that only the surrender to the Lord can save me. So that's what he surrendered, and he surrendered, and he he even not expecting that, okay, now Vishnu came, Lord came, and now he will gonna save me, and now I'm going to say to the Lord that, okay, you saved me, and I'm going to join enjoying again back. I'm going to back to my family, because he understand that. But something, I mean, sometime he says that this material world is like a facility, and the miseries and the problems in our life is like an opportunity. So in that opportunity we can decide, we can take up that, and we can understand that only, I think Maya, definitely Maya won't let us go. Maya is not going to tired. We said that, like the living entity, at some point they become feels like, okay, I'm tired, I'm done. As you said that all the time, like, I'm done. And the problem is that sometimes we internally feel like that, okay, now I'm done, I can't do much, keep trying. But still we keep trying. The problem is that we are not feeling like that we are done. Now I'm tired. So that is really important. When we think like that, okay, now I can do more, now I'm just done, and whatever Krishna wants to me, and I want to get out of all this trying and trying and trying. But we actually don't feel that, we don't reach to that point that now just done. So yeah, I mean, when we feel like that, now okay, I'm done, whatever Krishna wants me to do, I'm gonna do it, and then Krishna take up the charge. So
Thank you. Yeah, that pond represents, the lake represents the lake of the material world. So we have come, Gajendra came to the lake to enjoy. So, so we came to this material world to enjoy, and now we are caught up by the crocodile. The crocodile has caught us, and we are trying to again free ourselves. So yeah, even if we say I'm done, but we are not really done in our heart, because we have some hope remaining that yes, it will work out. Maybe didn't work out. So, but at some point we realize that I tried this way, I tried that way, I tried this way, that way, so many ways, but it didn't work out. I'm tired now. Now I will surrender. So that's, yeah, I tried to become happy independently in so many ways, but it didn't work out. Krishna, now I will follow the way which you have prescribed to become happy. So I have tried my own way to become happy, but now I have realized that it didn't work. So now I will follow your way. I will do what you say, as you were saying. I'll do what you say to become happy. And even I don't want happiness. I just want to do what you say ultimately. Then of course there'll be some happiness come from the shelter when we feel security in Lord's protection. Yeah, but yeah, so still we are not may not be convinced completely that independently I cannot become happy, and so I'm trying different ways in this way to adjust my situation, and thinking that if I just adjust it in a certain way, then I'll be happy. But nobody has been able to adjust the situation in this material world, because ultimately disease, old age, and death is there. So they've tried many ways to adjust. Even big people, right, with so much talent and so many things, they try to adjust their situation. But eventually, everybody has to succumb. So then disease will come, and then old age will come, death will come. And it's just a very short life, right? I mean, in 10 years, 20 years, whole scenario changes with our body and like that. Whatever we feel like that. And especially as you grow older, not when you're 10 and you become 30, no, not may not be so much, but when you are 40 and you become 60, then you can see how in 20 years the scenario, in 60 then you become 80, then scenario changes even more. So this is how, so some years we have where we are healthy and like that, and then starts falling. So that's yeah, but we have to depend on Krishna. We have to chant Hare Krishna. Whatever external situation, one thing we should not give up is chanting the holy name. Even our mind says so many things. I cannot chant because this, that, but yeah, this is the acharyas are saying, Prabhupada is saying. So let me chant. Whether I can do anything other thing or not, at least let me chant every day. So
Yeah, we don't feel like we are done in this material world until we are like we are we are given a lot of distress and our hearts are tormented with all those distresses of the material world, and until we are in the illusion of like false illusion of happiness, material happiness, we feel like okay, yeah, there this is only the real happiness, and we just keep doing what we are doing, and we don't feel like surrendering unto the God.
because
So
sometimes
we should
situation
also
works out.
pray like Kunti Devi. We should also pray like Kunti Devi, like who is asking for more distresses in life so that we can always remain close to the God.
That requires courage to pray like that. Yeah. But yeah, because sometimes what happens is we try and situation improves and we think like, yeah, it's not so bad after all. So Maya also doesn't give complete failure, give some little success also in between. Let's say I tried something and it worked. I got some higher pay and like that, and so now we are happy. It says yes, yes, I worked hard. I got a higher pay or whatever we are aspiring for. So we think like that. Yeah, it's not every time it will not work. Sometimes it works also. So then that hope keeps us going and things. Yes, maybe it will work. So and we hear success stories of other people, material success, and so we think yes, for me also it may work like that. So it may work, you may get material success, but that is not going to solve. The material success is for short time. You got a lot of money or you got a lot of enjoyment, but it doesn't solve. And then in that also we do so many other things, and there are so many other karmas from our past life which have not fructified yet. So they will be fructifying in the future and in this life, whatever karma. So we should always be fearful. Even though I have success, the things can turn around anytime. Like probably when Steve Jobs was 50, right? He didn't realize that when he would leave his body at 58, whatever age he left. At 50, he was very happy, maybe. He didn't notice. Or maybe he noticed, I don't know the history. But like it's like that. So when we are we don't realize that how it's going to come, what karma will bring in, and eventually, I have to leave. At any point, I have to leave. So we don't feel like that, and the mind paints like a picture of very optimistic picture that yeah, it's going to work out so nice, and but we should always be like worried that what this karma will bring in the future, what is going to happen. I don't know. So many lifetimes I've been. That is why everything is going nicely, and suddenly there is a change, right? Because some karma is coming. So we can never be assured of happiness and security and all this. So many people die in accidents, right? The day before they didn't know, or they got paralyzed. The day before they didn't know that next day I'm going to be in this situation. So it's like that. It can happen to anybody. So that doesn't mean we live in a paranoid, like scared and paranoid and like that. But that means we have to do what is necessary, what is important. First things first. Because tomorrow we don't know how situation will be. Tomorrow I can engage in service or not, or how I can be in coma tomorrow. You never know. So That's why, right when we have time, we should do it. And then Krishna will decide where we go at the end of this life. Wherever he wants us to go, we'll go. But at least we will have satisfaction. I tried my best. You know, I tried whatever I could. I tried. Very so like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I just want to quickly mention like something that Kratumara's book Slap of Maya has mentioned that Maya has a complete grip on those who are absorbed in sense gratification, but the ones who are favorably disposed towards Sri Krishna by loving devotional service gets their core strength from Chitta Shakti, their spiritual energy, and then they can escape the onslaught of Maya and we can come to that surrender.
Yeah, sometimes we have to cry. Or it's good to cry to Krishna that I want to become purified, but my consciousness is so contaminated. Krishna, I'm just helpless. I just want you help me, Krishna. You are the master, so nothing is impossible for you, Krishna. I want this, but I'm not able to do on my own. Get free from these things. So, from all these materialistic desires, I'm not able to free myself. Krishna, it keeps coming back, coming back. I'm struggling, Krishna, you please help, help. So, like that, we want to purify ourselves. So we can pray like that. Okay, what's the time? Sanford, okay. Actually, most people, most times, we don't even realize we are in the grip of this crocodile of Maya, which is like the time. We are in the grips of this time and how time is moving imperceptibly. Just as they say, when crocodile swallows, he takes a little bit, then he goes a little bit further, and in this way he swallows the whole deer or something like that. Because its mouth is small, so it cannot take whole body at one time. So it does little bit, then goes a little bit further, then a little bit further. So similarly, time is like that. Little bit, little bit. It's consuming our life day by day, little bit, little bit. But if we engage in hearing Krishna Katha and reading Bhagavatam, then we will go to the eternal life where there is no influence of time. That's the Ayurharati Vaipum Samudyana Shrachayanasho Tasyate Yatshano Nita Uttam Shloka Vartaya. That with every rising and setting of the sun, one day of life is imperceptibly gone, but except for one who engages his time in serving the Lord, hearing about the Lord, like that. So, even if the great fear of bondage is avoided by mental speculation and inquiry into the fundamental principles, it may still appear again, since its cause has not ceased. So, Devahuti is saying that how long will the soul be in material nature before it attains freedom? And so the fear has gone sometimes, but again it comes back. Material bondage is caused by putting oneself under the control of matter because of the false ego of lording it over material nature. Bhagavad Gita states, Ichha Dvesha Samuthena. Two kinds of propensities arise in the living entity. One propensity is Ichha, which means desire to lord it over material nature or to be as great as the Supreme. Everyone desires to be the greatest personality in this material world. So we want to have a nice house and everything. Many times we want to show to others. Right? See, I have such nice assets and nice things. And why we want material success? Because everybody values material success is very significant. So that's why we want this. And when they will praise us for our material success, then we'll feel happy. So, like Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu, there is a video how I came to Krishna consciousness. So he was saying that he was very good in English and other things. And so in GRE, when he appeared in GRE, he got 2350 score. I think it's 2400. He got 2350, 2400 is the maximum. 2350 he got, and in the history of his college, nobody had got a score like that. So when he got his score, he was feeling very happy. And then some people didn't praise him, maybe because they had envy or whatever. Some people didn't praise him. So he was feeling, don't they know what I've achieved? Why are they not praising me? You can hear a little bit. I was hearing how I came to Krishna consciousness. So let me share if you want to. And then he was thinking that my happiness is dependent. Many people praised him, but some people didn't praise him. So he was thinking, well, either they have envy or they don't know what I have achieved. So, and then he realized that, my happiness is dependent on this. So what I was saying is that even Arjuna says this, that if I die, then even if I win the kingdom, then all my relatives will be there. Of course, he had the fear of sinful reaction, that it'll be tainted with the blood of my relatives. And then who will be there to enjoy with me if everybody is dead? So how will everybody praise me? Or yeah, so that's what our material success, because the whole culture is like that, right? That everybody praises somebody who is very materially successful, like that, and they think, yeah, his life is successful now because he's got so much money and nice family members and beautiful family members and very intelligent children, like that. Then life is successful. So that's what. So we can see that video later, but so we want to be the Lord. These two items, the desire to be the Lord and envy of the Lord, are the beginning cause of material bondage. As long as a philosopher, salvationist, or voidist has some desire to be supreme, to be everything, or to deny the existence of God, the cause remains and there is no question of his liberation. Devahuti very intelligently says, one may theoretically analyze and say that by knowledge he has become freed, but actually as long as the cause exists, he is not free. Bhagavad Gita confirms that after performing such speculative activities for many, many births, when one actually comes to his real consciousness and surrenders to the Supreme Lord, then the fulfillment of his research in knowledge is actually achieved. Which verse is that? After many, many births, then he comes to understand that I need to surrender. Bahunam Janmanamante.
Jnanam Mam Prapadanti. Vasudev Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha.
There is a gulf of difference between theoretical freedom and actual freedom from material bondage. So, theory we know so much, but actually to apply that, to become free from this material bondage, that's different thing. Theory is information is there, but transformation of information should bring about transformation of heart and consciousness. Then it is really like, otherwise it's superficial. The Bhagavatam 10:14-4 says that if one gives up the auspicious path of devotional service and simply tries to know things by speculation, one wastes his valuable time. And initially, we will not be perfect. So we have to try, it's just try and pray. Our endeavor and Krishna's mercy. We have to pray and we have to. Our endeavor means that prayer is our endeavor. We are praying. Our desire is to. And the more the intense the desire, the more the reciprocation from Krishna. So we have to intensify our desire ultimately. It's all about intensification of desire to become Krishna conscious. The Bhagavatam says that if one gives up the auspicious path of devotional service and simply tries to know things by speculation, one wastes his valuable time. Just like if you don't have a job, right? And you really want a job. Because without job I cannot survive. And I don't have money, I cannot pay my bills. And so there is something wrong with not having a job. So you desperately try to look for a job. And You try to do whatever it takes to find a job, right? You post your resume, you take certification, you take training, whatever it is. So that desire is intense because I cannot live without. So similarly, we can say that I cannot live with this birth, death, old age, disease. I just want to make a solution. When that desire is very intense, of course, there has to be faith also now, right? Faith means, yes, Krishna is saying, Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. So, first you have to realize that there is a problem. It's a very bad problem. It's a very bad situation. And the more you realize that the situation is bad and you have to improve your situation, the more you will try to improve your situation. So, like that. But if you don't, if I don't have a job and I don't have any problem, I don't have a job, then I will not look for another job, right? So, because maybe I have some money and whatever the reason is, but something is not right and you feel very strongly about it. That this can't be like this. It has to change. Then you will try. So you think, if you think, yes, I have to die, I have to get old, I have to get diseased, I have to go through all this, like that. We know the story of Buddha. He was going in the chariot and he saw this old man walking with a stick. Oh, then the charioteer said, oh, one day you'll also become like this old man. Then he saw somebody, some diseased person, then he saw somebody being carried on a stretcher. Ram Nam Satya hai. Oh, one day you'll also die like this. So then he said, oh, I don't want then this. I want to really change something in my life, in my consciousness. And then he, like that. So most of the time we are thinking, yeah, it's natural, it's okay, it's fine. So that's why we are not so intent on solving that problem. So, and everybody else around is not concerned about, the whole material world is not concerned with this problem. They don't even realize that there can be a solution to this problem. So that's why it's going on. And then in that culture, we are in that culture with our friends and things like that. Then we are also like that. Then we follow the normal course of life and just do what everybody else is doing. And otherwise, we get scared also, right? Oh, nobody's doing like this, and I am doing this chanting. Maybe this is not good. My friends are not doing, and they are telling me this is waste of time. So then we also get scared. We don't want to, we just want to go with the flow, right? If there are a lot of people doing the same thing, then it's okay. So it becomes the norm, and then we feel we are not alone. And whatever will happen to them will also happen to me. So I'm not alone. But if we do something like this, Krishna consciousness, and do surrender or some extra things, then we get scared. So there has to be some faith that no, this is Krishna will protect me. I'm giving time to him. He will take care of me. Like that. So there is a gulf of difference between theoretical freedom and actual freedom from material bondage. The Bhagavatam says, that if one gives up the auspicious path of devotional service and simply tries to know things by speculation, so instead of engaging in Krishna's service, we say, no, I will figure out on my own what is the truth. One wastes his valuable time. Klishyanti ye kevala bodha labdaye. Klishyanti means trouble. The result of such a labor of love is simply labor. There is no other result. The labor of speculation is ended only by exhaustion. The example is given that there is no benefit in husking the skin of an empty paddy. The rice is already gone. Similarly, simply by the speculative process, one cannot be freed from material bondage, for the cause still exists. One has to nullify the cause, and then the effect will be nullified. This is explained by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the following verses. So without knowing, we try on our own. It's like reinventing the wheel. So if the wheel is already given, why don't you use the wheel? The knowledge is already given. You just practice it and realize the knowledge. Instead of saying that, no, I will find the knowledge on my own. But we can't because our senses are limited. So that's why Shastra comes in. Without Shastra, you can just speculate. We will read one more verse and then we can read Krishna book. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Annimita Nimittena Swadharmena Amalatmana Tivraya Mai Bhaktya Cha Shruta Sambritaya Chiram. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one can get liberation by seriously discharging devotional service unto me and thereby hearing for a long time about me or from me. So Kapila Devi is saying how, because she asked, how can the soul be liberated? One can get liberation by seriously discharging devotional service unto me and thereby hearing for a long time about me or from me. So either you hear about Krishna from the devotees or you directly hear from Krishna. Like we said, Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Krishna, and Bhagavatam is spoken about Krishna. So we have to keep doing chanting. We have a long time, it says, and do it properly like that. So, okay, Kamal Krishna, Kamal Kishore. To join. Okay, it's already 101. We have to remove some. By executing one's prescribed duties, there will be no reaction and one will be freed from the contamination of matter. Sridhar Swami comments in this connection that by association with material nature alone, one does not become conditioned. Conditional life begins only after one is infected by the modes of material nature. If someone is in contact with police department, that does not mean that he is criminal. As long as one does not commit criminal acts, even though there is police department, he is not punished. Similarly, the liberated soul is not affected, although he is in the material nature. Even the Supreme Personality of Godhead is supposed to be in association with material nature when he descends, but he is not affected. One has to act in such a way that in spite of being in the material nature, he is not affected by contamination. So we have to act in this world in such a way that, like the lotus, it's in the water but not like off the water. Be in the world but not of the world. So we have to act in such a way that we will not be affected, and that acting means how do we act in Krishna consciousness. So one has to act in such a way that in spite of being in the material nature is not affected by contamination. Although the lotus flower is in association with water, it does not mix with water. That is how one has to live, as described here by the personality of Godhead Kapila Dev. Annimita nimittena swadharmena amalatmana. One can be liberated from all adverse circumstances simply by seriously engaging in devotional service. Serious means you are doing it with attention, focus, and sincerity.
I mean, Rupa Goswami says that your advancement depends on your attitude and how you do your devotional service. That really defines, right?
Correct. Means somebody is like, you have a call with your CEO. You're very serious about it, means you are paying attention. You are hearing what they are saying and you want to, like, serious. Like another example is that when you are in the plane, 30,000 feet in the air, and then the plane has turbulence, then whatever they are speaking, you are very seriously hearing because it's going to affect your life.
And also, Prabhu, in sometime we all have experience at some point. I just remember that, when we sit in the movie theater, we see the movie, like whole 3 hours, our mind is completely engaged in the movie, whatever the going on, and every scene we remember most of the time, right? But it is very hard to focus while we are chanting. So because if we seriously, because we are like, either we like it to do that, or whether we are very serious to, okay, suppose that suppose in exams also, right, we are very seriously studying, because if you want to get the exam and you want to qualify the exam, then that's how we can go forward. So I mean, these things, define that how these things are matter very seriously. We take up very seriously. Okay, I have to do because I get this thing. But in bhakti, in devotional process, we think like, okay, I am doing it. What else I can do? Okay, I'm chanting, but we are not. I mean, I'm not thinking, I'm talking about myself. I'm not thinking that, okay, I have to do that. This is the best thing. This is the main thing. Other else is just revolving around this, and it will become easy if I do my primary job, which is the devotional service to the Lord. But we are like, it's like a shram eva hi kevalam. We do the like occupational duties very faithfully, with very sincerity, doing hard work. But when we come to the devotional service, it we do like kind of half-hearted, right? Um,
Yeah, correct. Yeah, like in exam, because you know that's going to affect your outcome. Like, you're going to, like, you go for an interview, and whatever they ask you, you think you're very serious about getting the job. So you really like pay attention to what they are asking, and what you are speaking, like that. So because it's the outcome is very, as you said, outcome is very important to you. So here also, if you want the outcome is love of God and going back to the spiritual world and getting freed from all these problems once and for all, forever. If you think that that is very important to you, then you will, and you have to have faith. Yes, this is the process by which I can become free from all the miseries. When you have faith also, and taste also, taste and interest will make you more serious. Like you're doing your business, right? So you're very, very interested in making profit. So you will be sure, like you have a restaurant, let's say, and you're very interested in, making nice profit. So you will make sure the food quality is very good. All the customers who are coming are very, treated with. You pay attention to every detail, like, you see that everybody has a good experience, and because you are interested in making profit. So in the same way, like if I'm interested in making a solution to the problems of life, interested in my own happiness, real spiritual happiness, which is real happiness, like that, then I will I'll pursue this. So it's based on interest. Our seriousness is based on what interest we have in life. So whatever we are interested in life, we are very serious about it. So of course it's practical also. It doesn't mean we have to give up our job or anything. But whenever we are doing our devotional service, we have to do it very seriously at that time. And job all is there ultimately to support my bhakti. Everything else is there to support my bhakti is the main thing, and everything else I am doing should be to support my bhakti. But what happens is when consciousness changes, we think other things are the main thing, and bhakti is a side thing. I'm doing some. I've been told to chant, I'm chanting, but it doesn't. Even if it's not done nicely, it's okay. But the other thing should be done very nicely. So that's how our priorities are. So, like sometimes sadhana is not done nicely. Okay, we think it's okay. It's all right. I'm not following the principles so strictly. I'm not, it's okay. Krishna is kind. He will understand. Also, some things like that also we make up. Yes, he's very kind, and we can't become perfect. He's bhavagrahi, but we try as much as we can. And then if we fall short, then yeah, Krishna knows. Like Prabhu was saying, he knows our mood. He knows our deeds, and what did we say? Moods, deeds, and something. I think he said. Um, Krishna knows our mood, everything he knows. So how this devotional service develops and becomes mature is explained here. In the beginning, one has to perform his prescribed duties with a clean mind. Clean consciousness means Krishna consciousness. So how devotional service? So first, of course, mind is only not clean. So how can we? Prabhupada says in the beginning one has to perform his prescribed duties with a clean mind. Means at least while we are doing, clean consciousness means Krishna consciousness. One has to perform his prescribed duties in Krishna consciousness. There is no necessity of changing one's prescribed duties. One simply has to act in Krishna consciousness. Like Arjuna was a Kshatriya and he performs his duty as a Kshatriya in the service of Krishna. In discharging Krishna conscious duties, one should determine whether by professional or occupational duties, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is satisfied. So whatever you may do, is Krishna satisfied through that? Of course, that doesn't mean we do wrong activities, but whatever I'm doing, like I'm a student, I have a job, I'm a housewife, whatever it is Krishna satisfied with what I'm doing? In another place in the Bhagavatam it is said, Swanustitasya dharmasya sansiddhir haritoshanam. Everyone has some prescribed duties to perform, but the perfection of such duties will be reached only if the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is satisfied by such actions. For example, Arjuna's prescribed duty was to fight, and the perfection of his fight was tested by the satisfaction of Krishna. Krishna wanted him to fight, and when he fought for the satisfaction of the Lord, that was the perfection of his professional devotional duty. On the other hand, when contrary to the wish of Krishna, he was not willing to fight, that was imperfect. If one wants to perfect his life, he should discharge his prescribed duties for the satisfaction of Krishna. One must act in Krishna consciousness, for such action will never produce any reaction. Annimittena nimittena. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Yagna arthat karmano anyatra. All activities should be performed simply for yagna or satisfaction of Vishnu. Anything done otherwise without the satisfaction. So you may earn a lot of money, but you use that money for Krishna's service. Then that's it, for satisfaction of Krishna, for serving Krishna, then it's all right. Anything done otherwise, like in your home also, you can offer the food to Krishna, you can invite devotees, you can help in propagating Krishna consciousness, contribute to our new temple, whatever you can, something like that. And in this way, your home becomes temple, your mortgage also goes for, your family is also devotees, so like that, you can do that for some time at least. Anything done otherwise without the satisfaction of Vishnu or Yagna produces bondage. So here it is also prescribed by Kapila Muni that one can transcend material engage entanglement by acting in Krishna consciousness. So it results in akarma when you act for Krishna, which means seriously engaging in devotional service. Means we have to sacrifice the fruits of our effort for Krishna's service. This serious devotional service can develop by hearing for long periods of time. So how we can become serious? Just hear every day, read the Bhagavatam, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Right, so it says, Nashta, all the things will be gone. All the abhadra, and then abhadra things are gone, then you will become fixed in devotional service. Bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. That bhakti which cannot be nullified. You become very fixed in bhakti just by reading the Bhagavatam every day and serving the devotees. This serious devotional service can develop by hearing for long periods of time. Or whenever we hear, of course every day regularly. Actually it says nityam. Nityam means constantly, always. But it can also mean regularly. And whenever we do, we should hear for sufficient time, not just 5 minutes. That's also good, 5 minutes. But here, like there is a class, so at least 1 hour. I guess. Chanting and hearing is the beginning of process of devotional service. But somewhere it has to start, right? So you can start with 1 page of Bhagavatam every day. Chanting and hearing is the beginning of the process of devotional service. One should associate with devotees and hear from them about the Lord's transcendental appearance, activities, disappearance, instructions, etc. There are two kinds of Shruti or scripture. One is spoken by the Lord, and other is spoken about the Lord and his devotees. Bhagavad Gita is the former, means spoken by the Lord, and Srimad Bhagavatam the latter. One must hear these scriptures repeatedly from reliable sources in order to become fixed in serious devotional service. Through engagement in such devotional service, one becomes freed from the contamination of Maya. It is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam that hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead cleanses the heart of all contamination caused by the influence of the three modes of material nature. Which verse is that? Hearing about Krishna removes
Is this
the...
Shranvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravan Kirtana Hridaya Antastho Hi Abhadrani Vidhunati. I mean, is this the one, right? Vidhunoti Suit Satam.
Yeah, there may be others, but this is...
Yeah, I mean, there's a series that 3-4 verses shows true Sradhana Se Vasudev Katha Ruchi Syar Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat.
That verse says how you can get affinity for hearing about Krishna. How you can get taste for hearing about Krishna by serving great souls. Yes, and the other verse is also Srinvata Shraddhaya Nityam.
Yeah, that's yes, bro. Go ahead.
Srinvata Shraddhaya Nityam. What is it? Nati Ati Dirghena. Srinvata Shraddhaya Nityam. How does it start? Well, those who are taking the 1 minute. Srinvata Shraddhaya Nityam. Grinati Swacheshtitam Kalena Nati Dirghena Bhagwan Vishate Hridi. That verse is saying that how Bhagwan comes, but there is another about many like that. It's Srinvata Shraddhaya Nityam. So with Shraddha, when we hear regularly, and Grinatascha Swacheshtitam, and seriously by one's own endeavor, we take the subject matter very seriously. Kalena Nati Ati Dirghena Bhagwan Vishate Hridi. Persons who hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and are always taking the matter very seriously will have the personality of Godhead Shri Krishna manifested in their hearts within a short time. And when Krishna manifests, then all the Maya is gone. Krishna Soma Surya Maya Hoy Andhakar. Yaha Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Radhikar. So, the pseudo devotee, however, is not very anxious to see the Lord according to is very anxious to see the Lord according to his whims. Pseudo devotee. He wants to see according to, not making any serious effort to hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly. And without detachment from material benefit. That is not the way recommended by an authority like Maharaj Parikshit, who heard and benefited by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So we should read Bhagavatam every day. By continuous regular hearing, the effects of the contamination of lust and greed to enjoy or lord it over material nature.
This is a different verse, bro. I think after that, when he's talking about that all the dust of material association, lust, anger, and hankering is all gone. Like it acts like it's that starts with Pravishta Karna Randhrena.
Autumnal rains, right? That's the verses there.
Yeah, I think it's the verse. Yeah.
And he's
Dhunoti Ram Krishna's Leelas.
Yeah. That's 285. Pravishta Karna Randhrena Swanam Bhava Saroruham Dhunoti Shamalam Krishna Shalilasya Yatha Sharat. The sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, that is Srimad Bhagavatam, enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee. So the sound is Krishna. It enters in the heart, sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material associations such as lust, anger, and hankering. Yeah. Thus it acts like autumnal rains upon the pools of muddy water. So Pravishta means pravesh, means entering in the karna. Karna is the ear, and Randhra is the hole. Like Randhra also comes in that. Bharapidam natvarvapu karnayo karnikaram bibrad vashah kanak kapisham vaijanti jamalam. Then
Ran- Randhrena avapunatakarma.
Kritayapuram.
Kara-
What is the first line? Bharapidam natvar. Uh,
रन्ध्रानवेणो
Venu.
अधर सुधा
Yeah.
सुधया पूरयन् गोपवृन्द
Vrindavan.
वृन्दा वृन्दारयन् स्वपाद रमण
Pravisad Gita Kirti.
या प्रावेशात् गीत कीर्ति.
Yeah, so Randhra is the hole. So in the holes of the flute, Krishna poured the love of his heart, like that it said. But so Pravishra Karna Randhrena. So Randhrena is the hole, the ear is a hole. That's how the sound goes. So when the sound enters the ear holes, Swanam, according to one's liberated position, Bhava Saroruham. So that lotus flower, and it goes inside the heart, which is like a lotus. Then it cleans. Dhunoti Shamalam Krishna. Dhunoti, Vidhunoti. It's like Shamalam. The material qualities are cleaned. That sound cleanses. Shalilasya Yathashara. Just as in autumn season, the reservoirs of water are cleaned by rains. So, in the same way, all the contamination in the heart is cleaned by hearing about Krishna. So, we should hear about Krishna. Okay, so we'll finish this, and then one becomes, and that also is there in the Nashtapraya Shobhadreshu series, that how uh, the effects of modes of passion, Tadarajastamo bhava kama lopadayasche chete ete ranavidyam sthitam satve prasidati. Then sthitam means situated, satve in the mode of goodness. एवं प्रसन्न मनसो भगवत भक्ति योगता भगवत तत्व विज्ञानम मुक्त संगस्य जायते विद्यते हृदय ग्रंथिश्चिद्यते सर्व संशय शीयन्ति चास्य कर्माणि दृष्टा एव आत्मनीश्वरे. The whole series there. This is the stage of Brahman realization or spiritual realization. In this way, one becomes fixed on the transcendental platform. Remaining fixed on the transcendental platform is liberation from material entanglement. So when you come to the spiritual platform, then become. Okay, we'll just read this Bhagavatam today. Jnanena drishta tatvena vairagyena bali yasha tapo yuktena yogena tivrena atma samadhina. This devotional service has to be performed strongly in perfect knowledge and with transcendental vision. So mind is going here and there, so we'll say, no, I want to do this strongly in perfect knowledge, as we have heard, and with transcendental vision. One must be strongly renounced and must engage in austerity and perform mystic yoga in order to be firmly fixed in self-absorption. Devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be performed blindly due to material emotion or mental concoction. It is specifically mentioned here that one has to perform devotional service in full knowledge by visualizing the absolute truth. We can understand about the absolute truth by evolving transcendental knowledge, and the result of such transcendental knowledge will be manifested by renunciation. We become detached. That renunciation is not temporary or artificial, but it is very strong. It is said that development of Krishna consciousness is exhibited by proportionate material detachment or vairagya. So, Yeah, Krishna consciousness should result in material detachment, then you are advancing in Krishna consciousness. If one does not separate himself from material enjoyment, it is to be understood that he is not advancing in Krishna consciousness. We may say so many things, but in our heart, if we are not feeling, then we have work to do, that's all. Renunciation in Krishna consciousness is so strong that it cannot be deviated by any attractive illusion. So his Prabhupada is talking about very high standard devotees who are renounced, that they cannot be allured by anything. For one thing, because they're experiencing a higher taste in Krishna consciousness. So they can't be deviated by any attractive illusion. One has to perform devotional service in full tapasya, austerity. One should fast on the 2 Ekadashi days. Some place Prabhupada also says, if we want to make spiritual advancement, we should not eat too much. So, control the tongue. It's all very difficult. Tar madhya jivayati lobhamaya shudurmati. Of all the senses, the tongue is the most voracious and difficult to control. One should fast on the 2 Ekadashi days, which fall on the 11th day of the waxing and waning moon, and on the birthdays of Lord Krishna, Lord Ram, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are many such fasting days. Yogena means by controlling the senses and mind. Yoga indriya sanyama. Yogena implies that one is seriously absorbed in the self and is able, by development of knowledge, to understand his constitutional position in relationship with the super self. In this way, one becomes fixed in his devotional service, and his faith cannot be shaken by any material allurement. So, no temptations. That's very high stage of bhakti. And we'll read one more verse. Prakriti, end with this. Prakriti purushasyeha dahyamana tva aharnisham tiro bhavitri shanakher agner yoni ivarani. The influence of material nature has covered the living entity, and thus it is as if the living entity were always in a blazing fire. Sansara davana. But by the process of seriously discharging devotional service, this influence can be removed, just as wooden sticks which cause a fire are themselves consumed by it. Fire is conserved in wooden sticks, and when circumstances are favorable, the fire is ignited. But the wooden sticks which are the cause of the fire are also consumed by the fire, if it is properly dealt with. Similarly, the living entity's conditional life of material existence is due to his desire to lord it over material nature and due to his envy of the Supreme Lord. Ichchadvesha samutena. Thus, his main diseases are that he wants to be one with the Supreme Lord, or he wants to become the lord of material nature. The karmis try to utilize the resources of material nature and thus become its lord and enjoy sense gratification. The jnanis, the salvationists, who become frustrated in enjoying the material resources, want to become one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or merge into the impersonal effulgence. These two diseases are due to material contamination. Material contamination can be consumed by devotional service, because in devotional service, these two diseases, namely the desire to lord it over material nature and the desire to become one with the Supreme Lord, are absent. Therefore, the cause of material existence is at once consumed by the careful discharge of this devotional service in Krishna consciousness. A devotee in full Krishna consciousness appears superficially to be a great karmi, always working, but the inner significance of the devotee's activities is that they are meant for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. So, he may be doing so many activities, but inwardly, he is doing it for Krishna's satisfaction. This is called bhakti or devotional service. Arjuna was apparently a fighter, but when by his fighting he satisfied the senses of Lord Krishna, he became a devotee. Since a devotee also engages in philosophical research to understand the Supreme Personality, his activities may thus appear like those of a mental speculator, but actually is trying to understand the spiritual nature and transcendental activities. Thus, although the tendency for philosophical speculation exists, the material effects of fruitive activities and empiric speculation do not exist, because this activity is meant for the Supreme Personality. Okay. So we'll stop here. We'll continue. Any comments? So we have heard this before. We need to hear it every day. Okay.
On the previous verse, Guruji, I was thinking about. I was reading the like first canto 8 chapter 6 verse. In that verse, in the translation and purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that Lord Sri Krishna caused three well performed Aswamedh Yagna, horse sacrifice, to be conducted by the Maharaj Yudhishthir. So in the purport is very nice. It is written that Yudhishthira Maharaj had performed only three Ashwamedh Yagna, which is and what was called Indra, king of heaven. He performed like 100. I mean, this is says that like still it says that like he's more glorified. The Yudhishthira Maharaj was more glorified and famous in all direction, but not the Indra. But Indra has performed like 100 such sacrifices, but Yudhishthira has done like only three. So it is said that like by the grace of the Lord, why he performed just three, and he is more glorified and is more famous than King Indra. So and usually it is that as per like we say that like kind of rule book. In the rule book that one has to perform 100, right? But still, and Prithu Maharaj also, he's like okay, he did just 99. So what the main important thing is here, that he Lord can be satisfied by three, don't need to perform 100. It's all about like what pleasing to the Lord. And Yudhishthira Maharaj was like of course he was like Dharmaraj. He was act according to his dharma, right? But and he's performed three, and Lord is pleased. So what matter is what is pleasing to the Lord is more important than what like he has like a lot of King Indra has so material prosperity. He did 100 sacrifices, but still he made many mistakes also. But the Yudhishthira Maharaj, he did three, and the Lord is very much pleased, and he is more glorified than Indra, because the Pandavas are not only, they are just aligned their actions with Krishna's instruction. What Krishna is saying, they align with the thought of Krishna. So what the devotee has to do, that the pure devotees always align with the Krishna's thought. What makes Krishna happy, that really matters. So we should take like as a lesson, it doesn't matter what we nothing can make Krishna happy, because who can be greater yogi than Krishna? We always talk about that renunciation, detachment, but Krishna left Vrindavan. Krishna left Mathura. Mathura was like he was an opulent. He left just for like maybe the two reason. One reason is like externally it appears that he ran away, and but he's for like Rukmani, he ran away from that place and went to the Dwarka. And Dwarka, he was like, it's famous that what kind of opulence Krishna had. He ruled there, but when he left everything. He not like he's not doesn't have any attachment with the kingdom or anything, right? But he performed all his duties very nicely. He kept all his queens happy, and he did all his roles. But he left everything, and and at the end, we know that his palace was sink, under the water. So who can be a great yogi than Krishna? He is completely detached from all these opulences. So what matter is why Krishna is pleased with the simple heart, with your sincere devotion. No matter what, you don't need to show or offer Lord so much, so many things. Just do what Krishna makes, what Krishna has said the instructions. If you follow that instruction, if you do a sincere and clean heart, if you offer anything to Lord will be pleased. So Yeah, that's was I was thinking after this report, reading this report. So you in some in I think previous verses, a couple of verses, you said that is depend like haritoshanam, some siddhir haritoshanam. So what pleasing to the Lord? That in that context, I just shared this one.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, so it's 8:30. We'll end here. Um, Thank you very much for joining. We'll
Thank
see.
you, Prabhuji.